Hello, children. Today, I want to read to you all from a book that I used to use for my children when they were little. It's a beautiful book. It's called Jesus, the Friend of Children by Richard and Frances Hook. This is Jesus right here. Here's one of the children that he's blessing. I like the pictures in this book. For example, here is a picture of how they imagine Jesus looking. This book starts with when Jesus was a little baby, like right here. But I'm not going to start there. I'm going to go to the very end of the book, and I'm going to tell you about when Jesus died. The reason I want to do that is because that is the season we're in right now. This is the time of Easter, and Easter starts not with joy, but with sadness. Easter starts with the death of Jesus, which was a very, very difficult time for those that loved him and for Jesus. I'm going to read to you about it. This chapter is called Supper with Jesus. It's what we call Good Friday. One day, Jesus asked two of his helpers to do something for him. "Go into the city," Jesus said. "You will see a man carrying a pitcher. Follow him home. Talk to the master of the house. Ask him to show you the room where we may have supper." The helpers obeyed. Everything happened just as Jesus said it would. That afternoon, Jesus and his helpers went to the room and ate their supper. Jesus looked at his 12 friends. "One of you will turn against me," he said. "You will turn me over to men who want to kill me. They want to kill me because they do not believe what I teach." Jesus' friends could hardly believe such a terrible thing, but Jesus always told the truth. They were afraid. Then the helper named Judas got up and left. But only Jesus knew that Judas was going out to meet Jesus' enemies. Then Jesus gave the others some bread and a cup of something to drink. "Eat the bread and drink from the cup," he said. "Do this after I am gone. It will help you to remember me, for I won't be with you much longer." The men ate the bread. They took the cup and drank from it. They were still afraid. "What will we do without Jesus?" they thought. "Do not be afraid," Jesus said. "I am going away, but I will come again. When trouble comes, remember what I have told you." Jesus stood up. "Come," he said. "It is time to do what God sent me to do." He walked out into the dark street, and his friends went with him. Night in a garden. Here's the picture. This is Jesus. You see how he's praying and how hard it is for him? And these are his friends who are asleep. After supper, in the upstairs room, Jesus led his helpers outside. He led them down the stairs, through the streets, and out the big city gate. It was dark. Jesus and his helpers walked to a garden away from the city. "Stay here while I go into the garden to pray," Jesus told them. Then he took Peter, James, and John with him. Jesus was sad and troubled. He knew that when he felt that way, he should talk to God. So he left his 3 friends sitting together so he could pray alone. He knew his enemies would soon find him. He knew, too, that God wanted him to take the punishment for all the wrong things people had done. Jesus would give his life to save others. "Oh God," Jesus prayed, "I do not want to die, but I pray that what you want will be done, not what I want." Then Jesus went back to his friends. They were sleeping. "Won't you please stay awake and pray with me?" he asked. But his friends were too tired. They could not stay awake. So Jesus went back and prayed by himself. He told God that he was ready to do whatever God wanted him to do, even if it was to die. After a while, Jesus saw lights coming from torches coming up the hill. A crowd was coming to the garden. Jesus went back to his sleeping helpers. "Wake up," Jesus said. "My enemies are coming." His helpers were confused, angry, and frightened. But Jesus had been talking with God. He could trust God to do what was right. There's the picture again when he was praying. Night arrest. A noisy crowd marched into the garden where Jesus had been praying. They were carrying torches, swords, and clubs. Jesus knew why they had come, but he did not try to run away or hide. Instead, he walked toward them. "Who are you looking for?" he asked. "Jesus of Nazareth," they answered. "I am Jesus," he said. The men were surprised. They did not know what to say. They didn't expect him to be so brave. Again, Jesus asked, "Who are you after?" And again the men said, "Jesus of Nazareth." "I have told you that I am Jesus," he said. "If I am the one you want, let my friends go." But Peter was scared. He pulled out his sword and ran at the crowd. He swung his sword and cut off a man's ear. "Put your sword away," Jesus said to Peter. "Don't you know that I could ask God to send armies of angels to protect me?" Then Jesus touched the man's ear and healed it. Peter was surprised. Jesus was letting the soldiers take him. But Peter and the other helpers were so afraid, they ran away as fast as they could. The men tied Jesus' hands. Then they led him out of the garden, away to Jerusalem. Here's a picture. Do you think you would have been afraid? Do you think you would have run off? I think we might have, because that's what they all did. The next one is called Jesus on a Cross. Soldiers had arrested Jesus in the middle of the night. They had tied his hands and taken him into the city of Jerusalem. There was no one around to speak up for Jesus. His helpers had run away when they saw the soldiers arrest him. His other friends were asleep. They did not know what had happened. But Jesus' enemies were not asleep. They were waiting for the soldiers to bring Jesus to them. "Jesus must die," they said. "He says he is the Son of God. If people believe him, they will listen to him instead of us." So they took Jesus to the governor. The governor talked with Jesus. "I do not find anything wrong with Jesus," he said. But Jesus' enemies would not listen. "Kill him! Kill him!" they cried. And there's a picture of Jesus when he was arrested. The governor was afraid of Jesus' enemies, so he ordered Jesus put to death. The soldiers took Jesus outside of the city and nailed him to a big wooden cross. Jesus felt sorry for them. "Father," he prayed, "forgive them. They do not know what they are doing." Jesus hung on the cross until he died. The sad news spread over all the city. Mothers and fathers and boys and girls cried, for they loved Jesus very much. "We did not help Jesus," his helpers said. "We ran away when he needed us most." They felt very bad. They forgot that Jesus had promised to come back. Here's a picture of what it might have been like there that time. Do you see the 3 crosses? The one in the center is the cross where Jesus was. That's all I'll read to you from this book right now. This would be good to listen to through Friday, but I'm going to add another story for Sunday It's a very happy story, and it explains why it is that we celebrate Easter. Another day for Easter is called the Resurrection Day. I love you all. Bye-bye.